Hello there, everybody. How's everybody doing? Gary? Hello there, Deb, 1930. Gene Hudson. As everybody starts to tune in on this Thursday evening there.
Gary.
How you doing there, Barb?
I'm doing good, Grizzly. How are you?
Doing wonderful, thank you.
Good. We have some new people. Pamela, Richard, and Crystal. Who do we met? Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca. Hopefully we won't need the tow truck. What did we get? Did we get everybody? Squatch and Holler. Hey, welcome. Liana's in there too. Great.
Nice to have everybody.
Yeah, today is, well, we all know and love Robin, and she's been with us several times, and we just love to have her. She has been helping out a good friend of mine, Kevin, who actually is he's actually a neighbor of mine. We are about 5 miles as the crow flies. And I think we lost Kevin, but hopefully he'll be back. I know he'll be back. So, hey, Facebook user. So, yeah, so I guess we'll bring Robin on, and then when...
Robin, come on down. How are you doing?
Hey, guys.
Welcome,
you know
Robin.
I love your show.
We love you.
We love you. I have
nice to have you back.
Thanks, sweetie. Yeah, Kevin got hold of me, and he said, hey, I'm doing this show. And I'm like, okay, great. And he's like, you want to come do the show? And I said, well, you better get hold of them first, because I've been on there, but they may be sick of me by now.
So. No, because he's like, I really don't want to have a show if I'm the only guest. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you have so much of a story to tell, he does. And so
he does.
Yes. And he said, well, what about if I ask Robin to join me? I'm like, yay, that's perfect. So
yeah, Robin, he did. Bless his heart.
Yeah. What have you been up to? Tell us what you've been up to.
It's been really busy. There's a lot going on with the Sasquatch right now. Some I can talk about, some I can't. Working with an awful lot of people. The website is taking off. It's going 90 miles an hour. So I'm really blessed and pleased about that. Kevin and I are working on a project with the Bigfoots right now. So that's always a good thing too. He's amazing, and they absolutely love him. And he's got some abilities lined up in there that are ready to pop. So we're going to be taking advantage of that.
Awesome.
So yeah, Kevin's awesome. I just love him.
Robin, what's the name of share the name of your website and tell us what you do with your business.
Okay, it's called paranormal-empowerment, www.paranormal-empowerment.com. And basically what I do is not only do I work with people in the cryptids, but I work with UFO abductees because I'm one myself, and give them a place to kind of download, maybe help them figure out, because I'm also telepathic, so I can speak with ETs as well as anything else that wants to. So I work with that. I teach a lot of energy work. So that's been really popping lately. A lot of energy work for people. I talk to spirits. I do psychic readings, pretty much anything and everything. I do entity clearings to clear out houses from different entities. And everything I do, I can do remotely, so I don't have to be on site for. So that makes it nice as well. So, and if anybody wants me and they don't want to go on the website, I'm on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes. So you can always find me there. And it's just as easy to book that way as it is to go. So it's taking off. It really has done well. People seem to be extremely receptive, and they're so kind. I mean,
Robin, can you repeat the website? Gary Spikes was asking.
Oh, sure. It's www.paranormal-empowerment.com. And again, you can always reach out to me on Facebook as well. And then as well as that, if you go on there, there's testimonials from people that, have used my services before. So that makes it kind of nice. So I've been really blessed. I've met people that start out as clients and they definitely end up as longtime friends. I've been doing it over 40 years. I'm just now doing it as a business.
Wow. Wow. Well, I guess, yeah, Kevin is not back in with us yet.
I know,
Can
where
you
did he go?
he said he was I know he's having some stuff done at his house, and I wonder if it was an issue with that because we had a big
Yeah,
storm.
it's like he told me, he says, can you go on the show? Because he says, sometimes I get kind of quiet and I don't know what to say. And that way there's somebody that can back me up. I'm like, okay, well, goes beyond and beyond because he's not, he's not
Here
even
he comes.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin.
Here he
There he
comes.
is.
Oh, well, he's his, let's see.
His icon's back,
Yeah.
but I don't see him. I want
I
an
don't know
icon.
I don't know what the
use
deal
the
is,
icon?
guys.
What?
Just
know what the
hit
deal
your
is.
camera button down
Yeah,
the
it's
bottom of
like
the screen.
they've got to be forced to look at my face, and yet you get the icon. We're going to talk about this afterwards, Kevin.
Oh, is that yeah, because we can see the icon. We can't see you.
There I am.
There we go. Yay.
There he is.
Wow, you got that cloaking thing down, Kevin. Woo.
See, I explained that to him years ago, and now that he knows how to do it,
Yeah, I just
he's
like to whip that
bopping
right
in and
out.
off.
Party trick.
Yeah.
Can you
So,
guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Thanks so much for being with us, Kevin.
Wow, that was fun.
What happened? You're back okay though now?
No, I was starting to think that our friends were not wanting me to join because it was
Oh.
I
literally
know.
just as you guys started, everything went blank on me. It's like, what?
Wow.
I did paranormal extraction with Zoe, and we were talking about some really hardcore, unpleasant ET things, but things that needed to be brought out. And we had so much problems with that. It was absolutely insane. They took the internet out. It was like, fortunately, I had backup, and it was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, we had some trouble last night with Grizzlies.
Thanks, Dean.
Some of the things that we were chatting about. So Kevin, if you can, well, whatever you need to, like, whatever, these people at the house that can't be helped,
I'm actually going to go put the dog outside. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Hey, I have 14 dogs, so it doesn't bother me at all. You guys all do what you got to do.
No, yeah. So, Robin, while Kevin's doing that, can you tell us a little bit about what you were saying about that you can share some, you can't share everything?
Yeah, there's a lot of people are noticing a lot of energy surges right now. Okay. And about 2.5, 3 months ago, the one that we had done was not pleasant. And I was really surprised at how intuitive people are. I was so impressed. I was getting calls right and left about it and like, what's going on? What are we supposed to be doing? And that's kind of started this onslaught of things that are being done behind the scenes. The cryptids are involved. Let us hope that they can pull it off. And I think they can. But we need to start getting a lot of these energy workers together. Okay, we're on a time constraint. We've got to get people moving this energy for this. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Fortunately, I work with people around the world. So I've got, people in various countries that are also working on it. I'm training people daily. But we are really in a time crunch and we need the positive energy move. There's been too much of the dark one. And what came in about 3 months ago was definitely not for the better. So that's being dealt with by a lot of things. And it's just kind of like a coordinated effect. Okay. So, yeah, anybody that's interested in being part of that and wanting to participate in it, I am all ears. I'm very limited what I can say on screen because the government is not happy about it and would like nothing more than it not to go down. We need this to happen. And it's going to happen with or without us. So we need to get our little butts in gear. So everybody knows how to reach out to me. They're more than welcome to at any time. Okay.
Oh, we got, Emma. And I'll contact you. Definitely, Robin, outside of the show. Cause I feel like I've been personally, I feel
absolutely.
like I've had so much energy, and not like energy. Yeah, I want to get up and like clean my house and all that stuff. I mean, like just that.
Right.
Like,
it's not
too much energy. It's too much. energy.
Right. It's not physical energy like, wow,
Yeah.
look at me. I can now go ride a bike 10 miles. That's not it. Everybody's body is encompassed with frequency and energy. Everything down the marrow bones to your blood, every frequency and energy. It's a kind of energy. It's what creates the essence of your body, and so does the frequency. That's what we are made of, regardless of what the power of bees want to tell us. So it's time to start harnessing that, knowing, and this is what this is by all means not a plug to get hold of me for classes. This is a lot more serious than that. You know, classes will come and go, and I can do that forever, but we're on crunch time now. We need to get positive energy from people, and it needs to get put out in the universe, and we're on a certain time frame to do it. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening, and it will be done on a gradual basis. For people that aren't really intuitive, you probably won't notice anything change. And for a lot of people, that's probably better.
Yeah.
But at this moment of time, if things are going to progress the way they are going to and the way they have to, because it's going to happen with or without us, folks, we've got to get our frequency up. We've got to get that energy up. And that's part of the things that Kevin and I are working on together right now, as well as I'm working with a lot of other people on it. But that's what it comes down to. Everything on this planet, every other planet, everything in the galaxies is energy and frequency. There's no way to avoid it. We've got to get tapped into and start using it now before we lose everything.
Okay. And I wanted just to remind you guys, if you have any questions, if you could just put them in all caps, it's just much easier for Grizzly and I, because we love when you guys, interact with each other and drop some comments. We love that. But sometimes it's confusing for us, right, Grizzly, when we're trying to wait, what's a question? And then we're reading stuff out loud that, yeah. So thank you. For that. So let's see. Yeah. Squatch and Holler says, I feel like my vision has stepped up a bit and I'm more focused on surroundings when I'm outside. Does that make sense? And it started last
absolute
week.
Sense to me, Roger. That's absolute sense to me. And get hold of me and we can go over that. You know how to get me. But absolutely, it's the time right now. It's the shift that's starting, and before it hits huge proportions. And that's why also things are being more awakened right now and in tune, because everybody needs to be doing their part if we're going to pull ourselves out of this mess that we're in.
Okay. Liana had asked,
I got it.
Yeah, thank you. So how do we aim more of our efforts into putting out more positive energy into the world?
You're going to take it right out of your body. Okay. Like I said, and I'm not, everybody has it in there. It doesn't matter what your religious belief is. It is in there. Get hold of me on Messenger, and you guys don't have to pay for this. I can do just like a quick 10, 15 minute thing on it and tell you what to do so that you can help with all of this. If it's more classes you want to expand that, then we can set up something. But if you just need to, my main thing right now is everybody needs to be pushing it. We've got a lot of counteract right now, and we're going to need everybody involved. Now, some people are automatically energy workers and light workers, and they're going to be at a much stronger capacity. They probably already know how to do it. We just need to all get on board, get out there and start pushing it now. When this all hits, it'll already be out there, and then it'll be able to pick up and go with it.
And Emma's asking, what will happen if people don't wake up?
The problem is this is going to happen with or without everybody. In order for everything to be in a balance and be in alignment, and our people not to be on the lower part of it, we need to get on board. For the people that aren't going to do it, they're going to get pulled along with the ride, and they're going to notice more imbalance in their life. They're going to notice things not as proportioned how they should. They're also not going to be able to be in touch with things that they need to. Okay. I mean, it's not going to be horrible. It's not going to be extremely bad for them, but they're not going to be where they want to be. And right now, what I'm noticing in a lot of the clients that I get, and I'm not going to talk about specifics because that's private, but a lot of people are imbalanced. They're not in alignment. And when you get into this field of research where you've got, we're dealing with cryptids, we're dealing with ETs, we're dealing with 10,000 different other things, plus we're trying to live our lives. You become out of aligned and you become out of balance. You have to keep one foot firmly in each side. So you've got to have your day-to-day things like washing clothes and, your dishes and carting kids to school and taking care of your property or whatever. That's keeping yourself firmly grounded in one side. The other half is in this other world that is actually a reality. It is the matrix. The matrix exists. It's what we live in.
Okay. Yeah, Emma, if you want to just contact Robin, it's Robin Haynes, Haynes, and then through Facebook, and she'll get you, she'll get you set up.
Yeah. It says L Haynes. Do not go to that one.
Oh wait,
that has to do with the website as well. So just Robin Haynes, and I'll get you guys I'll get you, a few minutes I can get in there and tell you what to do. And then if it's something that you want to continue after, but as far as to just get it going right now, we just need it pushed out there.
Crystal had a question. Did you see that? I don't see it. You see
I'll go
that?
back and find it.
All right. Well,
got my Wi-Fi.
Let's get into Kevin. Can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. You want to finish your sentence?
Okay. You think the solar flares are having an impact on the cryptid activity?
Absolutely. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
I don't know about the solar flare, but it's possible. All I know is I can only speak in a much broader sense. You have a much better handle on this than I do, Robin. I've just noticed, and I call it a thinning of the veil, because I've seen more supernatural stuff in the last 6 years than my previous 57 years. So it's been eye-opening if you're paying attention, for sure.
Yeah. I think
they say that CERN is not a help to the contributing factor of what people is seeing and witnessing in the world. What's your old state?
CERN is the biggest travesty that we've ever created. We're messing into something that we never should have been before. There's a lot of concern in the cryptid community as far as with the cryptids themselves about what they're letting in. I will say this, the last time they tried to open the black hole on it, the only reason that we didn't have immense problems was because of the ETs. And there are good ETs as well as the bad ones. And they were shutting down some of the black holes. So, I mean, not that it didn't get some done, but it would have been much worse. Our people are just completely hell-bent on our own destruction rather than, the benefit or the good of everything. We and I say this all the time, we kill what we don't understand. Whatever we don't understand, we don't want to know, because we want to be the superior being instead of being the peons that we are.
Yeah.
Right. There I would agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's really a mess, and we need to know that not only us, but the cryptids as well as the good ETs, they're trying to pull us out of this. We are our biggest threat. We are always going to be our biggest threat. And then you have the bad ETs that are now infiltrated through the AI into the cabal, into the Illuminati, into the Rothschilds, and into the government. It all rolls down that hill. It's going to continue to roll down that hill unless it's stopped.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. So Kevin, if you want to just introduce yourself. I told them that we are neighbors, and we were thinking about 5 miles, but as the crow flies.
As the crow flies, if you were to try to take back roads, it would be probably 10, right? It's right. Incredible. So basically, I moved out to our area where Barbara and I live about 16 years ago, a little bit more. Yeah. And I have to tell you guys that the furthest thing from my mind was Sasquatch or ETs or any of the other more exotic beings that have made themselves known in our woods. If you knew me, my background is as a mechanical engineer, and very rational material model of the world. Supernatural stuff was just a bunch of hogwash. Now, with that said, I did always believe that, at least at a really high level sense, that Sasquatch existed. And that's really about the extent of it, really. I didn't think I'd ever interact with Sasquatch. I didn't give it a whole lot more thought. I was busy raising the family and having a career. My career got interrupted, and I spent a lot of time at home. And in that process, I discovered that I live in the middle of a Sasquatch clan. And I didn't come to that knowledge lightly. I went kind of kicking and screaming. And I have to tell you that my opinion of what they were changed dramatically. I think that it went originally when I believed they existed, that they were kind of a hairy hominid that lived in the woods, relic, whatever, right? And then it was, oh my gosh, these people, they live in tribes or clans, they have families. This is not the behavior of a relic hominid. This is the behavior of a people. And so then but we're still firmly in the material realm with this. And then one day it all changed. I was hiking down in their area. They'd been interacting with me quite a bit in this area, and they hadn't let me see them yet, but they made themselves known through a variety of ways. And I was hiking along on a very remote part of the trail that no one ever uses, and all of a sudden in my head came these words: prepare, and I'm quoting, I will never forget this, prepare to have your life changed forever. Wow. And that stopped me. I mean, because when I'm hiking, I'm powering through. But that stopped me because I'm thinking to myself, well, that was awfully dramatic. Did that come from me? And if so, where did that come from? And so I kind of shook my head and I started up. And as I came around the corner, indeed, my life did change forever. I got to see my first experience with visually seeing Sasquatch was watching it shapeshift between, well, probably the largest deer / elk you've ever seen, between and they like flipped back and forth between Sasquatch form and elk form or whatever. And it was probably one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had. It made me rethink reality. Coming to this point, however, they actually, I started out like a lot of people do. I left gifts out on a table, etc. And
going to go out in the yard and do my thing. It'll be fine.
Started playing with rocks, moving them around, and then I learned they do glyphs and ran into that. And yeah, I'm gonna need some help here, Barb.
Were they doing this? I have some questions. Were they doing this on your, on your property yet? Like right there, so you, almost couldn't I don't know what this is, but because it's right there. Well,
so sort of, yes and no. The first glyph I ever received was in my driveway right behind my truck. And that was really shocking because, again, at this time I thought they were a relic hominid kind of thing, intelligence. They just were, roots in the woods. And I walked out to go to work, actually. Or no, I didn't walk out to go to work. I walked out to put something in the garbage, which is the garbage cans on the other side of my truck. And I keep my driveway pretty immaculate. There are not sticks. There's not garbage there. And there's this, in my mind, it was just a stack of sticks.
Wow.
And it was in a pattern. And I'm looking at that thinking to myself, what on earth is that? And who put it there? So I talked to my son, see if he was, but he was a teenager. He's not going to do that.
No.
Right. He didn't do that. My daughters didn't do that. My wife didn't do that. And I'm thinking to myself, I live out in the middle of nowhere. What is this? So that was actually my first introduction to glyphs. And I guess the way I really became aware that they were even close to my house was there it still is. There are 3 people who I credit with it. Snow White Bigfoot, and she videotapes her interactions that she has on her back deck, actually, with all manner of little toys and stuff. And she's got several, probably over 100 videos now that she does like weekly or monthly. And then the other person was Mark Abel, Colorado Bigfoot. And I think Christopher Noel was the other guy, and they were all doing something called Project Go and See. Well, I'd lost my career, and so I was kind of depressed, and I didn't have anything else to do, and so I got off my butt and I walked over literally within 100 yards of my front door and found my first symmetrical X Bigfoot structure, and I live on a lake out in the middle of rural Washington State, in Western Washington. It was pretty amazing, and so I went over to that structure, and then I noticed there were other things. I couldn't necessarily attribute it to Sasquatch, but there was activity that had disturbed the plants. That there were things that were stuck into the ground by hands, and I didn't know whether it could be kids or not. So there was one big stick stuck in the ground, and so I took a stick and I stuck a smaller stick in the ground right next to it, and then I sat down under a tree, and just because from where I was sitting, I could see the symmetrical X, which was a vertical one. It wasn't laying on the ground, and it was looking right directly down onto the lake. And it was a beautiful view. And so I thought to myself, well, if there are Sasquatch, and this is indeed what I think it is, this would be a beautiful place to sit. I mean, I can imagine them doing it. And by the way, this symmetrical X was made with logs that were way too big for people to move.
Wow.
That was my first realization that I lived in the woods with something else. Then gifts started appearing at my house. I was gifted dead rodents. I was gifted feathers. I was gifted little, like I mentioned before, little glyphs, and I've got a whole box of them actually.
Wow.
So yeah, it happens at my house, and it happens. I started hiking to a lake that's actually fairly close to where I live, but it's a lot more remote because there's the lake I live on. There's houses around it, and even though there's woods and stuff, there's still people. So I thought to myself, well, if I go to one of the local lakes that's out in the middle of the managed forest, I'm going to have probably a better chance of actually running into something. And boy, did I ever.
So was that, can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So, but this is before I realized that they lived in a clan, and I thought maybe one. I was interacting with one Sasquatch, and I'm not sure that Sasquatch liked me, to be honest with you, because there would be there'd be big stick breaks, not little twig breaks to let you know I'm there. That was like an aggressive, boom. I'm the master here, and you're not, kind of things. That's the energy I got. Well, I started to use that trail for keeping in shape. And so I would do this trail multiple times during the day. And it's about 3.5 miles round trip each time. So most of my interactions with them, the dead rodents were a gift. We used to have chickens, and the rats were I'm sorry, I don't know if you've ever had chickens. You have rats, and it's really irritating because no matter what, they're smart. No matter what you do to hide the food from them, they get it. Well, I was out there, and I honestly think that one of the younger clan members, who actually was a peeker, and I saw her, could tell I was really frustrated about it. And a day later, I came out and I walked around my house, and there were 2 of the healthiest looking rats you have ever seen. They were dead. They were laid out end to end, right? Or side by side, tails same way, head same way. We're not talking about predation as like a cat or a dog. I mean, there was no mouth mark on this. These things were not poisoned. I don't know how they killed them personally, but and they were still, they hadn't had rigor mortis yet.
Wow.
So that was a very strange one for me, by the way. I put that in the, well, that was interesting box.
Yeah, for sure.
The box is getting full, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's over full. I don't even remember all that. Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
What's very indicative, and a lot of people don't realize this, it's not well spoken of. that
What?
these Bigfoots gift dead rodents or animals.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
They
for
used
sure.
to bring me rabbits with their heads off
Yes.
of it.
Oh gosh.
And they did, but the thing that was so crazy was when at the time, and I don't recommend this to anybody, so please don't take it as that. I didn't have any other researchers to talk to, or I don't even consider us researchers. I'm an experiencer. That's all there is to it. I don't set
Right.
out to research. But the thing is I was putting food out for them all the time, and they loved it, which I don't think you should do it on a regular basis. A gift now and then is perfectly fine, just not on a regular basis, so they know when to expect it. And of course, that's what I was doing. And they would give me food back. Like, it was insane. I get headless rabbits on my porch,
Wow.
or I had this one rabbit cage that was molded. Like, you couldn't get into it except for the door. And I bought all these little tiny locks, and I put it all around the frame of the doorway so that nothing could pop it open to climb in. And I would put the food in there, and the next day I'd go out there and all the locks would be undone, even though they didn't have a key. And the food would be gone, but they'd relock in there a possum.
Oh my
Like a
gosh.
live possum.
Oh,
And I got
wow.
to be, everybody started calling me Possum Girl, because every day it was a possum, and there was no way for the possum to get in there.
Right.
And the plate that the food was on, the plate was always gone, as well as the food. But yet the possum was locked inside, and I'm like, I would unlock it and I'd tip the cage over and let him loose. I'd be like, tell your friends this isn't safe. Don't come here. Like, go, run, save yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And the next day, another flipping possum would be there. So then I started getting them, pouring them out of that into a container with a lid, so I wouldn't get bit. And I'd take them miles away and be like, spread the word. Don't ever come back here again.
Don't come here.
Well,
So,
Kevin, you and I met when I had shortly after I started my Facebook page, and I was really hoping to meet somebody, people local that could kind of corroborate what I was. And that was the post where they were talking about the guy walking around with a pine bough dress on.
oh, that's
on
hilarious.
302. Yeah. And
I'm trying to get out of the dark here.
Okay. And you responded. And so then after that, then
it's a little bit better.
That what what I was experiencing was actually feasible, because, and you had tons of things to
Oh
share.
yeah.
They love Kevin.
They do. Well, they did. They're really quiet right now. I have had some interesting experiences that I've been talking to Robin about just recently. And what's interesting to me about the Sasquatch stuff is they started out very, very physically oriented, so all real world things I could really get my head around. And they moved it from that along a spectrum until we got to most of the interactions now, not all of them, but most of the interactions are what you would call paranormal. Honestly, I don't take pictures of them. I don't. My arthritis is so bad I haven't been out in the woods in months, but they still come to me, and they still interact with me and let me know what they want, in very, very paranormal ways. Just so anybody who's been doing this for a long time and is in it for the experience and not in it for like proving that they exist, they run into a point where the Sasquatch people start to enter into their dreams. And it's not like a gentle, I'm dreaming about Sasquatch. You're very, very consciously aware that your dream was just ripped apart and moved over into what they wanted it to be. It's like it goes
to a parallel plane.
Totally. And all of a sudden, you are with Sasquatch, and they're giving you whatever message they want to give you. My most recent one, which is this is what prompted me to get back in touch with Robin. I'm going to call it a dream. I actually don't know what it was.
It's not a dream. It was you in a different plane, sweetheart.
Wow.
Right. So all of a sudden, I'm focused on somebody else. This is a dream somebody else, right? And I know it's a dream somebody else because of the way this happened. All of a sudden, it's like I was picked up, rotated 180 degrees, so I was turned around, and I am looking directly at a Sasquatch man.
Wow.
Like a big one. And he looks haggard. He looks tired. He seems really disappointed. And I felt like his disappointment, and I don't know if this is accurate, by the way, but in my dream or in that state, I felt like his disappointment was directed at me. And just as I was consciously registering that, and I then had a realization I needed to ask some, clarifying questions like, why are you disappointed with me? All he did was, he didn't even really give me much more than that. And he turned around, and as he's turning, he pops off over his shoulder, just do the work. And it was almost exactly in that tone. And that's a quote unquote, just do the work.
Which you're going to be.
Which it turns out to be what I needed to talk to Robin about.
Wow. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, he's going to be brilliant at it. That's who he is.
That's exciting.
So I have a funny story about my beginning Sasquatch stuff. So we had chickens. My daughter was in chicken 4-H. We started out with an original 6 full-size chickens. And I like full-size chicken eggs. Well, my youngest daughter had bantam chickens. I hate bantam eggs. What a waste. So after she'd grown a little bit and we still had the chickens and she was still in them, but not in them, I was not taking care of them. I got sick of collecting them. So this was just about the time the Sasquatch were, we were moving beyond physical and beyond me thinking they were, just relic hominid type things. And I was starting to get an understanding that they understood English, which, by the way, was a mind blower for me. It's like, what? Anyway, so I was collecting the eggs one day and I said, that's it. I picked one of the little eggs up. I held it up to the woods where I know the peaker used to watch. And I said, okay, you guys can have all of the little eggs, all of them. I don't want even one. You have to leave me the big eggs. I literally did not get a bantam egg for 6 months.
Wow.
They know.
Yeah.
Because years ago, and this is a long time ago, but I had chickens, and I had whatever the red ones are, Rhode Island Reds, I think they call them.
Rhode Island Red, yeah.
And and I had them, and I loved them, and I had it all set up where all I had to do was the drop down door, and I could reach in and grab the eggs. I didn't have to be in there with them. Everything was great. They're old enough to be laying. They should be laying, and not one egg at any time did I get. So finally I went out there and I said, I don't care that you guys have them, but I need half of them for my children. All I'm asking for is half. You can have half, I'll have the other half. And every day thereafter, I had eggs. Wow. Not all of them, but I had them, yeah. And I think they took one chicken that they actually took, but it was one that was not doing well to begin with. So I said that was fine, but they never bothered them, but they did. And the same thing with the ducks. They would take the duck eggs.
They didn't take my duck eggs. We had six Indian runner ducks that khaki Campbells, actually what they're called. They lay better than chickens. We got overwhelmed with eggs. They wouldn't take any of the chicken eggs. Do
you know the last set of ducks? Our last ducks, they wouldn't. When I lived in Michigan, they took the duck eggs too, but the ones here in South Carolina, they never did take any of the duck eggs.
Yeah, it's weird.
So Emma's asking both of you all, Robin and Kevin, for the audio listeners, why are they here and what are they trying to tell us?
Wow, that's a question for Robin.
Okay, they're here for a number of reasons, but they are also here to help us get to that higher consciousness that we're supposed to help us maintain the earth that we're destroying. We're doing a lot of damage, for something that everybody claims is so smart. We're really quite clueless. And they are trying to help us. They are trying to help us with a great many things, but those are the top two.
I can tell you from my perspective that my association with the Sasquatch people changed me a lot. I was never not an environmentalist necessarily, but I was not a rabid environmentalist. I really didn't like big trees too much because in Washington State, it's dark.
Yes.
During the winter, it's dark. And so you don't want a lot of evergreen trees to shade you. Well, and so I used to tell my wife that the only good tree is a tree for firewood, a cut down tree. And yeah, well,
Kevin.
I know, they and I used to actually, and because we had chickens, I used to hunt the predators that would come around my house, and I would make sure I would kill them. And I don't like to kill things. So just so y'all know, I'm not some bloodthirsty, I have no desire to kill anything. That's why we raise chickens for eggs and not for meat. I couldn't cut a head off of chicken if I wanted to. Anyhow, turns out Sasquatch have pets, and I killed one of their pets.
Ooh.
And they killed one of mine. And they mocked me. Then they mocked me from the woods.
Oh my gosh. What pet of theirs did?
So it was a young raccoon family. And they were too close to my chicken pen. And I said, okay. And I took I had the dog that I had at the time. She was fierce, and she was only 70 pounds, but good God, she would take on a pack of coyotes and just rip them apart. She was a fierce dog. So she would come hunting with me. In fact, she lived for that. And by the way, the Sasquatch people loved her. They would bring her gifts that would just appear in my yard. It's like, what? Anyway, so we went out to kill these raccoons, and there were 4 young ones and a mom, and the mom was enormous. She was enormous. And Cheyenne, my dog, took care of her, and we took care of 3 of the 4 raccoon babies. They weren't babies. They were like adolescent. And I felt sick to my stomach the whole time. I'm just going to tell you this. I don't feel good about this story, guys.
No. Yeah, we get, yeah. Yeah, I get it.
So one of the babies, or one of the young ones, it didn't die. And I thought, and we wounded it, and it ran off. And then it disappeared, and my dog couldn't find it. So I let my dog take lead as we walked through. It's dark, it's night out. And I let my dog take lead as we're walking through the woods, and we come abreast of it. It's an enormous cedar tree. We come abreast of it, and as she passes out the other side first, her head whips around in a snarl, ready to rip apart whatever's on the other side. And all of a sudden, her whole demeanor changes. She wags her tail, drops her ears back, and it gives the all happy little body wag. And I'm behind her with a rifle going, this is not behavior I've ever seen this dog do. So I, of course, and this was way before I knew there was Sasquatch. I just went charging around the other side of the tree, and there was nothing there. Well, there was something, but I couldn't see anything. And it is my theory, I don't have proof of this, or it's my hypothesis, that it was a she, and it was her pets that I killed, and she saved the baby because we couldn't find that baby for anything. And my dog
literally can't see anybody.
Anyway, less than a week later, I had a cat, and it was actually my cat that adopted me. It showed up at my house, and for some reason, and I don't really jive with cats. I'm a dog guy. Anyway, this cat just really jived with me. Anyway, it disappeared one day, and it was a big tomcat. It was not even this thing could take care of itself. It wasn't like it was predated or anything, at least not by something normal. And as I'm looking for it for several days, I start hearing meows from the woods next to my house. They're faint. And so, of course, I go looking and find nothing. And they were mocking me. I killed this Sasquatch person's cat, or raccoons. It took my cat. And then
they live their culture on an eye for an eye.
Yeah,
that they really and truly do. And they will use every animal in the woods as a pet. There is nothing that's off limits. I have 3 that come through here every now and then with a cougar. And the amount of coyotes that they use as dogs is just astronomical. In fact, it was like not even a couple weeks ago. they were sounding off with the coyotes, and it's like, okay, I know they're yours. Just keep them under control. That's all I care about. But they do, and they do use the raccoons, because they have literally had them go into when I was feeding them all the time, they had 3 raccoons that would come in first, go check every single bucket. Never were those raccoons allowed to touch a piece of food. They never did. And then the biggest one would go to the top of the tallest tree, lean over, screech toward the directions that they came in every single night. And it would squeal and squeal and squeal. And then it would come down, and that one and the other 2 would leave the opposite direction. And then it was like a freight train coming through the woods, and everybody was coming to get food.
Wow.
So, I mean, they absolutely do. It's like the hawks, the crows, whatever, they're used as watchers. They send them to keep an eye on us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many things. They're just a lot of layers.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said about as their watchers, because that's definitely, you know, I'll go into their area and all of a sudden it'll be like they love to use, I think, woodpeckers will all of a sudden start knocking.
Yeah.
Stellar Jay, you know, you haven't heard one all day, and then it's
and the woodpeckers, because they're tapping, it's like Morse code. It goes back to the woodknock things, you know, and the woodknocks are, as we know it, a form of communication between each other. And, you know, sometimes they'll do it just for our benefit, but normally it's between each other.
Wow. So Robin, do you know how many Kevin has in his area? Because I know you were able to tell me. And are our clans, mine and Kevin, are they the same? Are they related? Can you tell
You have
that?
some that are, there's some of yours that are related, not the entire clan. I always figured that Kevin got about 19 in his group. I think that there's more that he hasn't seen, but there's a few that have gone from his area and actually have found mates with some in your area. So they're joined by that. As far as the whole clan being relatives, no, but they're very well aware of each other. They actually seem to get along quite well together.
That's cool. That's so cool.
So the turning point in my relationship with the clan, where they decided to accept me, it actually it's a scary story. Actually, I was hiking down in their area, and it's the only time I've ever been bluff charged. I was coming back out from the lake basin, and I heard stealthy footsteps off the trail, off to my right and behind me, and I could tell they were coming up on me. And I'd heard about this from other people, you know, just stories. And I started to smile. It's like, oh, that's funny. I'm going to be shadowed all the way back. That's kind of cool that they let me hear this. And then all of a sudden, the footsteps picked up speed, and they stopped being stealthy, and they started to shake the ground. And they came to within probably 10 feet of me.
Thank you, Derek.
On the other side of a brush, of a screen. I couldn't see on the other side of the screen.
Wow. And
it's like in my mind's eye, I could see what was happening. It's running, it's big, it jumps, and it lands in a pile of like sticks. And all of a sudden, it's like the 4th of July goes off with with sticks, big sticks, breaking and popping, and there's no roar, there's no anything, and then there's silence. Well, of course, in this, what seemed like an eternity probably lasted 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds max. And of course, in that amount of time, you run through your options. I'm an old man. I am not going to outrun a Sasquatch. It's not even something I would consider. I'm not. You're not going to
outrun him as a young man either, baby.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, as a young man, I was probably arrogant enough to think I probably could. But as an old man, I know better now. So I stood there, and I had such an adrenaline rush going through me, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if this thing's, and this is before I knew very much about them, if this thing's got like a prey instinct, if I run, that is the worst thing I can do. Mm-hmm. So I stood there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I'll see a Sasquatch. And of course, I'm not thinking this very rationally. I'm pretty amped up.
Mm-hmm.
So I turn and face where all the noise is coming from, and I'm actually looking. I'm looking as hard as I can to see what on earth did this. And finally, I put my hands out, and said, brother, all I want to do is be friends. Thank you for letting me know you're there. And then I turned as slowly and as purposefully as I could and started to walk at my normal pace back up the trail. And I think that's actually what paved the way for them to let me in on some of their more interesting attributes.
Wow.
Like I started getting the floral aroma after that. I started getting more gifts. I got a heart rock in, they had a glyph they used with me, which was, it's the pi symbol. But they had it was a top piece with a large one side and a smaller other side. And that meant, and they gave me the meaning of it, which was man, Sasquatch connected. And then they put a heart in between it. And that was supposed to mean with love between us.
Oh.
Which, okay, you guys, when I finally figured that out, that blew me away. And as I figured it out, I got a huge, strong floral aroma confirmation that was accurate. And then I went down to, after I received that one, I went down to the Grand Canyon and bought a petrified wood-shaped heart that was all polished, and I gave that back to them. And that was very well received.
That's lovely. That's lovely. I love that. Yeah. Well, you know, it's like with the braids. Everybody wants to know what the braids stand for. And there's 3 strand, okay, in a braid. A braid, one side is us, and one side is them, and then the one in the middle is God.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. People do not understand how truly spiritual they are. The bad ones aren't, okay? The bad ones are just bad because, well, they're bad. But the good ones are highly spiritual, and everything is planes. Like, they go to the plane where Jesus is at. They are readily, happily able to tell you that they go and visit with Jesus. Wow. And they don't adhere to a certain religion because our people have created all the different religions. You know, they answer to Creator, which is, as they claim, our God, because it's all under one God. And if you talk to them, they'll tell you they are children of God.
We have a question. Have you seen symbols on rocks that look like Mayan or Toltec numbers, dots in a sequence?
I personally haven't.
I haven't either. I haven't. Have you seen anything like that, Robin?
I haven't seen that specific thing. Usually the rocks that I've seen, they're stories. They tell a story of different things that have happened.
Exactly.
They rat out a lot of people. Let's just put it that way, because I was called a certain area where they ratted out things that the government had done. So I went in there with a friend and tried to undo the damage that I was asked to undo and got shot at. So, you know, there was that. But
wow,
it got done the way they asked.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So, Kevin, you said the strong floral. Do you have any idea which one of the clan that is that's giving you that?
So yes, and the reason why I'm hesitating is there's a really this one individual really did something for me that was amazingly altruistic, caring, and loving, that is really hard to put into words. She, her name was Talitha, and the person who told me her name was Talitha was Robin.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I try.
Talitha did a healing on me, a really deep, profound, emotional healing on me that left me a very different person out the other end. And she did it over the course of a couple of months. She would come over to my house, and she bathed me in this energy that all I can call it is like a love envelope. And I'm not talking about a sensual, sexual thing at all. Yeah. I'm talking about love like you've never felt before in your entire life. And like I said, I want to remind you guys all, I'm an engineer. This is weird. I I know it's weird.
Yeah, your science.
Oh, Kevin. I'd like to, if I could just for a second while Kevin said that, just because I don't want to get sidetracked, and then please, Kevin, finish what you were saying. I swear I'm not trying to interrupt. But
No,
you
no.
had said something about, how deeply the love. It's so important that people understand this. These are a high frequency, high energy being. Because of that, everything they do is at a higher level. They love deeper. They protect deeper. When they're mad deeper. Okay. It's just part of what goes with it. And the level of love that they have, they do what they call, and just for lack of a better term, I call it the love bomb or the love bubble, where they push that love on you. I have yet to find anybody that can have that done to them that does not cry, because it is that. Oh no, you're going to get it. Grizz, I'm telling you, if they do it on you, you're going to cry. There's no way not to. It is that intense. It's a love like we have never felt in our life. It is not normal for us to feel at that deep of a level, but it's because well, but it's because they are a higher frequency and a higher energy being. And the highest frequency that there is comes from love. It comes from your heart, and it comes from love. And everything that the good ones do, that's where it comes from. That's where the abilities come from. A lot of people, including myself, that's where the abilities come from. Like if I'm upset, if I'm stressed, if I have a broken heart over something, I am like dead in the water. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for me to accept, because I've never been where I didn't have abilities. First time that happened to me, I was like, I don't know what the rest of you people live like, but I am not sure. Like, I don't even know how to function in this world like this. And it was just because I was upset. My heart got broken. Once you feel better and you see the next day and everything's fine and rosy red again, all the abilities were back and stronger than ever. But the point is it comes from that higher frequency, and it does come from that higher energy. And that's why it's so strong. And Kevin's 100% right. When they love, there is nothing like it.
It's life-changing. And it's so life-changing that, okay, I'm not really a touchy-feely kind of guy. At least I wasn't. After experiencing that, one of the things I really wanted to be able to do was do that for other people, do that for my wife, do that for my kids, right? I would love to be able to bathe someone else in that kind of love, because, oh my gosh, it's a life-changing experience. Because I don't think, and this is just my own little philosophical musings, I don't think that humans necessarily have a great way to really think about love or put love when they receive it. Mm-hmm. And we don't really know what it actually is. So some people say love is action, right? It's what you do for others. Well, no, love is a frequency that is accompanied by other things, right? But that if you ever experience that love frequency, you'll have
incredible.
Like you've never had before, and you'll want to share that with others.
I'll say this.
That was Talitha. No, go ahead.
Being in psychology, right? Being in law enforcement, you have never been loved unless you have been loved unconditionally.
I agree.
Until you have felt that, you have never received that gift. You may have think you have. You may have dreamt it. You may think you're living it right now. But the day you have been touched by that, you will awake, then realize what you've been living has been false.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Stop and think about that, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because a lot of people in relationships, in marriages, is not love. Right. I'm not trying to discourage anybody.
No, what we think is love really at the grand, and I'm the last one to talk about it, but when you get that kind of love, and he's right, it's an unconditional, no limits, no holding back. It's just off the complete chart. And it's unlike anything that as the kind of humans that we are, it's a lot different than what we get. I think we tend to limit our love, even when we say, "Oh, I love you more than anything in the world." It seems like we cap it, we hold back. When you get to that point of complete unconditional, nothing but pure, unadulterated love, it is a whole different ballgame.
Wow, amazing.
We have two questions up on the block. One from Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot, Robin and Kevin. For the audio listeners, Robin and Kevin, do you think we are a big family, Bigfoot and us? What do y'all think?
They're a different type of people. They're not our type of people, but there is a different type of people. We are human hybrids, so we do have genetically, we are linked to them. I think that it's a lot of cultural differences there. I think that in a lot of ways, yeah, we are, because we do have a genetic link. We do have collective conscious link for the people that are open to it and are willing to embrace it. So, I mean, in those terms, absolutely. I look at them as my family. They've been my family since I was a little tiny toddler. I don't look at them any other way.
Kevin?
I agree with Robin. My experience with them is they are definitely a people. They're differently abled than we are, and they have a different connection to the earth than we do. At least that's my experience.
Yeah.
So I think that at one time we had fellowship with them.
Yes.
But that was a long time ago, and that we kind of fell away. And so our consciousness is not our consciousness is actually kind of foreign to them, because we don't even understand our own consciousness, and so we've lost our way. And so I don't know. I don't think that we're like there are the lost missing link or anything like that at all.
No,
they're
not.
Different thing, but we are related in that.
I agree with Kevin.
Yeah.
And the next question's from Derek Galloway. Question: what is the relationship between Bigfoot and grizzly bears? The respect factor both ways. What's your all's take?
I think that to a degree there is a respect factor. Will they take down a grizzly bear for food? Absolutely. But I think that, it's like with everything else, you pick and choose your battles. Are they going to win over a grizzly? I would say 9 out of 10 times, absolutely. There's always going to be that one time. They do like bear meat, very much, in fact, and it, does feed a lot of them. Are they going to actively go out and try to hunt a grizzly? No. Why risk getting hurt? I don't think they look at it, they could get killed, but I mean, why risk getting hurt? Because if you hurt, one of the collectives in the clan is now down, and you can't work effectively if all members of the clan are not working.
Some good questions, Kevin.
Yeah.
Actually, my only experience with them is with the black bear population, and because we don't have grizzlies here in Washington State, at least not where I live.
Yeah.
Over in East Washington, they do. So all I know is I have witnessed black bears in their area, but again, because of some of the things they've let me in on, I'm not sure that actually I was seeing black bears. Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
We had a black bear that used to come through our woods all the time, and they never bothered the bear. I mean, I don't think there's this huge competition for them. I think that if the opportunity were to be there where they could take one down and eat it, yeah. Do I think they could do it in a heartbeat? But again, I think it's pick and choose your battles. Killing a deer, the chances are they're not going to get hurt. Killing a bear, they could get bit, they could get clawed, which would lead to infection, and there's all these other things that could happen to it. So it's like, why put up an unnecessary risk? They're too intelligent. They're not going to do a risk if it doesn't calculate to be worth it.
Yeah, we don't have a big bear population, or really even a big deer population in our area, do we, Kevin? So
it fluctuates. Actually, there have been years when I've had. So we grow strawberries, and deer love strawberries. Oh my gosh, do they love strawberries? Strawberry plant. And the minute those succulent greens start growing, I have to fight them off with a stick.
Yeah.
So I've had anywhere between 5 and 6 in my yard at any given time. I have one doe that comes back. I think she even gave birth in my lower pasture area.
Yeah. You
So
certainly.
my experience is the deer kind of are the bane of my existence with my garden.
Yeah.
It ticks me off.
I can't grow anything either. Yeah. they eat everything.
So in my opinion, there's too many of them anyway. And I don't hunt.
Yeah. Well, and we're not even allowed to hunt them here on the peninsula.
I know people here that do.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, allowed. Yeah.
I don't hunt the deer, but they all end up in my yard anyway.
Yeah.
And I had this one spot on my yard that's all this tall grass. And, I do Dave Scott's show on Thursday night, and the end of it, just a cryptid report that Duke Sullivan used to do. And so it's 2:00 in the morning, my time. So I go outside to do it, just much like I am right now, because that way I'm not disturbing anybody in the house while they're sleeping. I went out there one night and I sat down. I did not know all these deer were bedded in that tall grass, and I had my back to it. It erupted like Old Faithful. There was 10, 12 deer in there. They come flying out of there. They heard Dave Scott's voice on there, and I didn't even know they were there. And I'm like, I'm used to the Bigfoots running up behind me, but this is just awful. I thought, what in the world is going on? And then the next night, I was in my bedroom, and all of a sudden, here they come all running up in my yard, and they went right to the house. They were up at the front porch. They were under my windowsill. They were walking in between the cat pens. They were walking between the cars. And I'm like, no, somebody's not hunting for your butts. Big news flash. If you thought that this was the place of safety from the foots, this is the wrong house.
Yeah, for sure. So Kevin, you had told us about Talitha.
Yeah, Talitha. Yeah, it was Talitha.
And then were there other clan folks that you got?
Yes. So I only know two names. Talitha and Misha. And Misha Talitha is probably in her 30s, early 30s, and she has kids. And she's married, and her husband doesn't like me, which is fine. I get it.
You must know Mike Scott.
He growled at me and he's huffed at me. I don't think I've apologized to him since, by the way, because I deserved it. I understand what I did wrong.
You got to tell us now.
No,
you got to tell us. What was
There's another one. There's another one, Kevin, that wants you to know he's
wants
there.
to know, because this is what Grizzly does not want to do when I go out.
Well, okay,
Kevin, there's one named Rahala, and he says he's tall. He's really, really, really tall. More lanky. He's got longer, shaggy hair, and he's chestnut color red. He says, I'm there as well.
Okay. Rahala. I got to remember that. Rahala.
I know.
In fact, I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see my background. That guy right there. I don't know if you can see him. He is 12 or 13 feet at the shoulder.
Oh wow.
His head.
Well, this one's really tall.
Wow.
So this is the clan leader. He's not lanky. He is a big man.
Massive.
Oh wow. My gosh. Like if I actually saw him in person, I don't know that I would react very well, because I don't think you understand what 15 feet tall is. You're up the waist, and he is enormous.
Wow.
Like enormous. And I didn't come to that conclusion lightly. I measured from this picture, from where I was standing. I went over there with my son-in-law and measured to his shoulder. All we had was a 6-foot stick. My son-in-law is about 6 feet tall. We tied a red rag around the top of it. He lifted it up full extension, and it just barely came to, actually about under his chin.
Wow.
So he is a big man. Anyway, so Rahala, he's probably that guy's son. The clown.
Yeah, he's really, really tall, like really tall. He actually has the conial head on him, and a lot of them don't, but this guy does. And he spells it Ralhua, but he's pronouncing it Rahala.
Wow. Okay.
So he just popped in. Sorry.
Well, no, that's all right, because here's my deal. The women are the ones that have the floral aroma, and that catches my attention because to be honest, I don't have a sense of smell. So when I get a floral aroma that comes through that's really overpowering and almost intoxicating, it's really obvious, right? So when it's something else, like the Sasquatch men can stink if they want to. I had one go off on, so I don't even know if you guys are going to believe this. So I hesitate to tell you even half my stories.
Tell us, we do, please.
You're with me, right? Nobody believes me.
I'm thinking about the people who are listening in. So they come into my house. I've had them in my house. They've not materialized as far as I know in my house. So I don't know how that all works. So take it for what it's worth. But one day I'm walking in my kitchen and all of a sudden it's like a bomb went off of the most noxious smell you've ever. I mean, it was bad. It's like everything everyone's ever described about the foul male Bigfoot smell. Mm-hmm. And I'm sniffing around my house. And again, I don't have a sense of smell, but I can smell this. And I'm sniffing around my house and I find it's center in my kitchen. It's in my kitchen and it is in the very center, and I can go all the way around it and I can pinpoint it. And I could feel this thing's like humor, his mirth. He was finding this his thing ever. And I just looked up because I got the sense that he was tall. I didn't know how tall. And I just said, look, I don't mind if you're here, but you got to tone that smell down. And so he did. And he left.
Wow.
The weirdest experience ever. So anyway, but the female ones they each have their own distinct floral aroma. And Talitha's was, actually, I don't even know what to describe them as. The most intoxicating one that I've ever experienced was actually over in the Blue Mountains in the southeastern Washington. And she had like a cinnamon floral that was, what? And I wasn't the only one to experience it. So just so you all know, I'm not just hallucinating. It was truly intoxicating and beautiful. It's a beautiful smell. And there's been
women are chiming in on you right now there, Gavin.
Kath wants to know, does the scent change seasonally? Have you noticed?
Well, that's actually what I found interesting. No, it's a signature.
Yeah, and I didn't notice it either.
Yeah,
and when they're pregnant, the females smell even more.
Okay. Oh, I believe you.
Yeah, I've smelled too, and I know that I told you, Kevin, the one is hot, it was like a honeysuckle, wild honeysuckle, and then also something that reminded me of, and I don't know, it was like almost like if you're at a fair and it's like candied apples and caramel corn like mixed together, but like with a floral scent, and I've smelled that. Yeah. Yeah.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the cinnamon, and everybody's coming out with scent now. We got lilacs coming out. See, all it takes, Kevin, is somebody coming out and talking about this subject, and others will follow suit.
Yes. Yep.
The smells come from a sense of projection. Okay, that's how they do it. They project, just like you hear, people go out in the woods and they run into the wall of fear. Okay. That's a projection. That's a nice way of them saying, hey, be fearful and leave so I don't have to bother with you. The smells are the same way. They can project any smell they want. We've had them project coffee smells, caramel smells, apple smells. I mean, whatever they choose to want is what they can project. There's one that comes out of Texas that likes to smell skunk, and that boy will reek to the point it makes your eyes water. But he loves, and he loves it, but it's all a projection, and they can project it onto everybody at that time that's there, or they can pick one person to do it. It's really quite amazing. They do the same thing, like when they do the zapping, but they have that much control. Yeah. So these smells that everybody gets, it's a projection. It's not like a skunk that has an odor and body sprays. It's a projection. They can project emotions, feelings, and smells.
Everybody still wants to know, though. Wait, I still want to know what he did to make the one mad. So they want to know this story.
Look, no matter how embarrassing it is, somebody
it's not that bad.
Your story. I
Well, it
assure
is
you.
bad.
Yeah, that's
actually.
true.
So now, mind you, this is the same individual who did the healing on me, right? So I developed a little bit of a crush. I will admit it. I mean, it wasn't a over the top one, and he didn't like that, and rightfully not, right? If someone had a crush on my wife, I would be a little upset, and he
Aw.
was, and I apologized because I didn't. You know what? It happened involuntarily. I wasn't trying to have a crush on her.
It's not the only time this has happened. We got one guy who used to serenade a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
believe you.
in a tent.
I believe you.
He admitted it on air, and I still poke at him from time to time.
Yeah.
And we have people
Well,
that come
just
on the
know that-
shows and says that this woman was so beautiful, and now he's in love with the hairiest woman on earth. and some people find them very attractive, and I can't say nothing. Each their own. Beauty
Well,
is not
you know
eye
what?
of the beholder. So
Did you never
Then
saw
there's the
did you-
whole reincarnation thing. So who knows what you were
Oh,
before
well,
when you
that's
came back?
true.
And
hey,
the
Yeah.
souls don't
Suge
forget.
Knight
Soul
just found that
connections.
out, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna
Because
say.
Soul-
he just
Soul
got.
connections.
Did you
Don't
hear his
go away.
sentence? Suge
Yeah.
Knight's sentence last week. 800 years when he gets reincarnated, he's going to go back and for eternity and then some. So
Hey, I know somebody, I've known it for 4,000 years in every single lifetime. It's ridiculous. And
Wow.
then on top of that, you're reincarnated to various different things, regardless of what you're reincarnated. And the souls don't forget. The souls recognize souls no matter what. Doesn't matter if the person does or not. It has nothing to do with it. So the souls don't forget, and they will remember before your brain will. Chris is
Kevin-
right. The possums never read nobody reads my memos, Chris. Nobody. Chris is my bestie. We get I love this guy. You have no idea. Nobody makes me laugh harder. And we keep talking about this. Nobody reads the damn memos I put out. Nobody.
Kevin, had you ever seen her? Like, because I know you're saying you had,
Yes.
you developed a crush, but okay. And what did she
Yes.
look like?
I know
Okay,
that
now
face.
I'm considering very carefully what I want to say here.
Well, yeah,
Is
don't upset
I
her
don't know
husband.
this audience, and I know you, Barb, and I know you, Robin. Grizz. I don't know how you feel about some of the stuff I'm about to say. So
It doesn't surprise me. Let me tell you. Not my first rodeo with this type of thing.
Man has fell in love with strange things in this lifetime, sir.
yes,
So
But
and
the
this is
Sasquatch
beyond.
fall in love with our human
has
people
nothing-
as well.
Yes,
They
do.
really do. They absolutely do.
I'm going to tell you probably, and actually not probably. I'm going to tell you the second strangest experience, and it's actually probably tied for first. First strangest experience I've ever had in my life, and I know what I'm about to say sounds insane. So just know that, okay? So, like I told you, I used to do this hike for exercise, and it's into their area, and they made themselves known a lot. Well, one day, it was August, it was summer, and it was nice and hot, and I was hiking in there, and on the way back out, well, actually, let me step back a little bit. I have to go across a stream to get to the lake, over to where the lake actually is, and there's no bridge. You have to actually either ford the stream, or there's some logs you might be able to climb over down further in. But bottom line is, it's not easy to get across. So I'd already crossed it, got to the lake, and I turned around to come back. And as I'm coming back, I'm coming down the hill to the creek. And all of a sudden, out of the woods walks a 3-year-old child alone.
Wow.
Okay. That caught my attention right away because I'm a dad.
Sure.
And I would never in a million years let my child walk that young, or even up into their, early elementary years. Forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, okay, I better see a parent come walking out. Which fortunately, yes, a parent did eventually walk out. So this child walks out. No, actually, it started out with a dog. A dog with no collar walked out first. and I can't see down the trail because it's covered by branches and stuff. So this dog walks out, and I, of course, am now on my guard because I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to get bit by some stray dog that's in the woods. It's not actually acting friendly, but it's not acting not friendly. But what was weird about this dog is it didn't want anything to do with me. It didn't look at me. It didn't deviate from its path. What it did was it walked down its hill into the water, out the other side, didn't shake, and continued on. Out of the woods walks a child, 3 years old, no older. No older, kind of longish hair. It's a boy, and dressed in clothes. Right, walks out. It looks terrified. It wouldn't look at me. It steps into the water at 3 years old, walks across, follows the dog, and starts to disappear. Out of the woods, probably another 20 feet later, comes the mom. She's probably, the way she's appearing, and I'm going to say that very specifically, the way she appears is she's about 5'5", 5'6", light brown hair, early 30s, Caucasian, not unattractive, but that's not what I was looking at. So she comes out, and I went, phew. So I don't have to find some parent that's lost in the woods or figure out why this child's here. It's got a parent. I'm good. Great. The mom walks by. She smiles, and we exchange pleasantries, right? Just a really quick little, and then I'm good. She walks by me straight into the water, up the other side. So we're not talking, and they're all wearing long pants, right? We're not talking about shorts. We're talking about long pants and shoes. Didn't take them off. Then out of the woods comes a man. He's about 6 foot tall, muscular, well built, wearing a baseball hat, t-shirt, long pants. He's actually pretty stocky. He's a pretty big guy, and that's what I registered. And he's wearing a trucker, a trucker's hat, which in our area is kind of something that I don't even like to say, but there's an economic difference or socioeconomic difference. And so my first thought was, he's from a different socioeconomic group. And he walks by. He didn't growl at me that time, by the way. So he walks by, walks into the water, up, and they disappear. And it occurs to me, I kind of caught a scent, the floral aroma of Talitha as they walked by. And I thought to myself, I was imagining it, or Talitha was in the woods somewhere near, and she saw the interaction and she liked, I had all sorts of reasons why this was happening. So I didn't actually give it much more thought. And I just started powering back up the trail, got to the top of the trailhead, and I turned around to go back for my second trip. So I come back in, and I'm expecting to see this family because, there's only one way in and out of the woods here, right? And I'm on it. And I get to the creek, I cross back over, and then I get up to the logging road that leads down to the lake. And there they are, coming back up from the lake. And it's the exact same order. We got the dog, about 10 or 15 feet, the child, about 10 or 15 feet, the mom, another 10 or 15 feet. I'm going to say it's the dad because I think it's the dad. And they're at the bottom of the hill coming up, and I'm at the top of the hill going down. We pass. Again, the dog doesn't even want to look at me. Won't give me the time of day, which I'm a dog guy. Dogs always stop. I mean, I've never had a dog not. This dog, no. The kid looks like he's a little more comfortable now. Not a lot, but a little. It still doesn't look at me, and it passes by. I'm wearing a Dr. Pepper shirt, and it says, it's just Dr. Pepper on it. And as the woman is approaching, she looks at me and says, "Oh, Dr. Pepper." And I just kind of chuckled and said, "Yeah, when I could drink Coke or soda, that was my favorite, blah blah blah." And so she laughed, I laughed, and we kept going. As I passed her, I got the overwhelming Talitha scent. I mean, we're talking so overwhelming, it almost knocked me over of the aroma, the floral aroma. And so at that point, I'm thinking to myself, my eyes are not seeing what's actually happening. I don't understand. I do not understand this. I struggled with it. I was not willing to admit what was right in front of my face. So I'm confused and I'm stunned a little bit at this point. And then the man comes walking by. And as we passed shoulder to shoulder, he growled at me.
Oh my gosh.
Like a deep, guttural growl.
They shapeshift. They can take any form they want.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
And
the question is, and this is what I never asked on the air before. I hear this from time to time, and it's very rare, right? They say they don't walk close because when they do, their energy fields will interrupt each other, and it will vibrate, and you can see the flicker, and you can see the real thing underneath.
Well,
Is that
that
true?
makes sense. I don't know.
I've not had it where I could see anything, but you are right on the as far as it interrupts the vibrational field. The other thing is too, their frequency and energy is so high that it's almost like a radiation around us. Like I had a couple of weeks I was working with a clan, and one came up and walked up with like 8 feet from me, and that was great. You know, that was what I was hoping for. It was, you know, welcomed. It wasn't a problem, but the overpowering energy off of this guy. I literally had to take 2 steps back, and not out of fear, but just out of the fact that it was like, holy hell, I felt like I was going to be shoved down on the ground, you know? And so finally I just said, you guys, you got to pull it back. I can't do it. You got to pull it back. And they did. It worked out very well, but that energy is huge. And you have to understand that one of the biggest concerns in this field, and people need to be aware of it, when you have prolonged contact from them, you can actually get what is very similar to radiation poisoning. You get the brain tumors, you can get all these things, and they are not doing it. And this is so important that people know. They don't do it on purpose. It's the energy that they radiate. It's just like we have our energy, they have theirs. You can go into it safely and just say, you know, please pull it back. And the ones that know you generally will. The ones that are strangers might be a little bit afraid to, because it weakens their collective and it weakens them if they don't, or if they do it. So, but I always tell everybody, when you're interacting, just tell them, you guys, while I'm here, can you pull it back a little bit so it doesn't hurt me?
I didn't know enough.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was a question that how high do you think the hertz are, roughly?
Honestly, I wish I knew. I really and truly wish I knew. I don't, and I'm sorry. I need to really get some kind of a meter and check it out. But I know it's incredibly high, and the effect that it has on our bodies is literally, you know, where it's almost like radiation poisoning. And when they've passed, they radiate that same thing. If you take a Geiger counter and take it even into around one that's passed or in an area that they've been at, it's going to pick it up.
There was another question, Grizzly, if you want to go to that one. It was about Grizzly has game cameras out. Robin, can you tell Grizzly if there are forced people in his area where he has?
There are, but they're trying to avoid a lot of. You have one that's still coming up close, Grizz, but they're kind of backing up a little bit because of the game cameras. Actually, they aren't destroying them, I don't think. Usually what they did with mine, they may have by now, because they'll get tired of it. They'll get tired of it. You do have probably in that area, I would say 4 to 6 of them that frequent it often, and another 3 that are in the nearby areas, but you've only got one that's hanging around right now because of the cameras. So you may want to rethink the cameras.
Interesting.
Wow.
So by the way, Barb, that was to answer your question. Have I ever seen Talitha?
Yes.
I've seen her. I had to tell the whole story to say I've seen her in her human form.
That's incredible.
Was she blonde, brunette?
She was kind of like a honey blonde or honey, like kind of a golden brunette.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean,
I've only seen her through the visual she gives me in my head when I talked to her that one time.
Wow.
So I've seen her once before, I think, and I don't. The first time I ever saw one of the clan members, I had just finished mowing my back lawn, and they used to hang up out in the woods watching me. So they were looking downhill at me, and I had just finished mowing the lawn, and It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful spring day before all the leaves had grown back, but the lawn was dry enough to lay on it. So I laid down, and all of a sudden I felt like somebody was watching me, and I immediately opened my eyes, and there was a peeker. She peeked, and she had like bare head like you would not believe. Barb, I think you just broke up where I did.
See, that's like the one, and I know that I've told you this, that I saw that was holding a baby, and I don't think it was the same one because of the age. Because the one that I saw was like an older, juvenile or a very young adult. But yeah, with hair sticking straight out, like all around her head, like just a mess.
It's amazing. And I remember laying there going, "Wow, am I really?" I mean, you ask yourself, "Am I really seeing this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen Misha twice. Misha has, and this is another unbelievable story. You've heard about Sasquatch cloaking or not cloaking or disappearing interdimensionally or not, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you I have watched twice this happen right in front of me. First time it was about 50 yards. And there was some brush to either side, but nothing between us. I had a very clear view of her. She materialized, and that is the word to use. She materialized right in front of me, where she went from, in my opinion, not there to progressively more solid to fully solid, stood there for a minute, and then progressively disappeared. Then I was pretty excited about that, but she then did that again. I had just walked out my front door, and the property right next to mine used to be fully woods. And at the very edge of the woods, it was kind of cleared out. And so I'm maybe 20 yards away, max. And I'm standing on my deck, walking towards, just about ready to go down the stairs. She does it again, right in front of me, 20 yards away, nothing between us, nowhere to have come from, nowhere to go, standing in. So I couldn't see her feet because she was standing actually in some, like, do you guys know what salal is?
Yeah, I mean, I do, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry.
Like really low
brushy
salal.
kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can
grow into bushes.
And so she couldn't, if she had moved, I don't care who she was, I would have seen it because she would have been rustling the brush.
Right.
I went over there after she disappeared. I went over there and I'm walking through and I'm, kind of swinging my arm back and forth just to see.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing my.
Now, when you said she materialized, paint us a picture. Star Trek or like a ghost?
Having never seen a ghost materialize,
like on movies, you know how they like crystal clear, like foggy.
Oh, it was crystal clear, like she wasn't
fade in and fade out, or just like bam, she's there.
And there was no shimmer, there was no fog. It was just slowly, all of a sudden, it's like a pixel. It's like pixels started filling in, and all of a sudden she was there, and she was fully there. You could tell. She stood there looking at me for probably 30 seconds, and then she reversed the process, and I just was completely wowed.
Okay, I'm popping off for a second and coming back on because my battery, I'm outside and I was at 90%, and my battery just went from 90% and got drained to 15%.
Oh my gosh.
It's all right. So I have a backup device because I'm used to this going on when I do shows. So I'm going to pop off and I will be right back on. So let me back on.
Yeah. We'll start closing it up anyway because Grizzly has another show to do in a little while. So gosh, this has just been amazing though. It's just really
I didn't really know how to approach it, Barb, because I could have I thought about coming on and just giving like a sequential, this is how it happened.
Yeah.
And lots of little experiences in the middle, but I didn't know how you wanted how this would go, honestly. I think
this has been great because it's like
much better.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just telling we're kind of gonna right Grizzly.
Except I have no vocals.
Running out of time.
Hear you.
Yeah, we got black-eyed children coming up at 8
Yeah.
p.m. tonight.
Woo!
Yeah. Ooh, that's
yeah,
gonna be
that's gonna be an interesting subject.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
can I say one last thing before you guys?
sure.
Yeah,
Oh no,
absolutely.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sasquatch is the entryway drug or the gateway drug to the paranormal. Because I can tell you that Sasquatch is not the only thing in my woods by a long stretch. And I have had some interesting visitors to my house that are, I don't know what they are actually. They could be spirits, they could be ghosts, they could be cloaked Sasquatch, they could be relatives, it could have been the previous occupant of the home or of this property. I don't know. But yeah, there's some paranormal stuff that goes along with Sasquatch that's insane.
Yeah, there's no way to avoid it. It's part of what it is. Anything that goes up again, and I know I sound like a broken record, sorry everybody, but anything that goes up on that frequency and energy level, it brings in everything else, all paranormal, and it's just going to be. They don't have to be sitting around getting along and, you know, having dinner together, but by golly, they're going to be around each other.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah,
I carry backup devices. We've done this a lot.
That's happens to you, I bet, quite frequently, right?
Yep. I had a backup waiting.
So, yeah, this has just been great. We're getting, great comments so it's been fantastic. Yeah, because I know, Kevin, I've been trying to get you to come on for a while, and I understand, you know, but I'm just really thankful, and I'm so glad, Robin, that you got to. So, Robin, just briefly going forward, can you just tell me what the two of you are going to do? You're going to get into this. It's a project, and you're going to.
It's a project. We're going to be working on a lot of the energy work. Kevin actually has that ability to be an energy worker, and we are going to tap into that.
Okay, great.
Because right now we need it.
Okay.
Awesome.
And again, for anybody that, you know, is an energy worker that kind of needs some direction on what needs to be done right now, you can find me under Robin Haynes, not Robin L. Haynes, but Robin Haynes on Facebook, or you can reach me on my website, which is on www.paranormal-empowerment.com. And you can try me there too. Like I said, for just a real, 15-minute thing on what you need to do, I'm not charging anybody for that. That's something that we all need to be doing and helping each other with. If you want to take classes, that's a different thing, and then I can sign you up for that. But Kevin doesn't need a class. Kevin, it's already in him. All I have to do is just get him there.
Wow. Yes. Well, good luck.
And I
love
working with Kevin anyway, so
please
it's a bonus.
Posted.
It's mutual.
Yeah, Kevin is on my Facebook page, Drama Bigfoot and Cryptids. Because you don't have do you have an additional one, Kevin? I mean, other than your personal one, but you don't have to, that you put your.
Right. I have a private one, and it's actually Forest People of the KP where we live. But I only did it to share a lot of pictures around this guy right here, right? And some of the experiences I was having here, it's not very up to date, so it's not active.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back on if there's any developments, and keep in touch.
Thank you for having me on again. You guys are awesome. I always love
it's
your
always
show.
more than welcome to have both of you on, especially Robin, and we'll catch you all day.
I was quite honored. Kevin got hold of me and asked me. I thought that was so sweet. He's like, he's such a doll.
Yeah, because he said, "Well, I'll come on if Robin does," and I said, "Okay," and I'll message her. But in the meantime, I got just caught up. And he said, "No, I already asked her." I'm like, "Thank you, that's awesome."
Yeah, no, I was very honored because, like I said, I think the world of Kevin, and he's got just an amazing relationship with this clan. It's based on respect, so I'm really big on that, and I think he's tremendous. So I appreciate all you guys.
I'm one of her biggest fans, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a KP fan club. We will have a fan club right on the KP with President, Vice President.
Right.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!